Good morning, all you cats and kittens. How about the next installment of Tiger King? That's actually a joke. I don't have tigers, but what I do have is a tiger morph carpet python. Actually, a tiger morph coastal carpet python that I purchased at Scales and Tails, where I work sometimes when I'm not teaching. And I brought him home on October 30th or toward the end of October. It was Halloween night, actually, is when I brought him home, which I thought was really cool. So, the carpet python, there's several different species, and they're native to Australia and New Zealand, and those have vastly different environments, and they've adapted to several of those environments. You may have seen carpet pythons in the news. They frequently get stuck in roofs and have to be removed. There's a lot of videos of them actually being removed humanely. They're not super known to be super aggressive. They're used to being around people, and it's kind of interesting. So this tiger morph coastal carpet python, a friend of mine who actually used to breed the carpets, and this guy was captive bred, said that he could be a mixture of, or I'm sorry, a hybrid of a coastal and a jungle, which I don't know how you know that, but he's really knowledgeable. And what I've noticed about Harold, aka Little Wheezy, is his patterns are becoming more intricate. So that these patterns that you see on his skin, or what we refer to as a morph, which are basically the patterns, kind of resemble a carpet, and that's how they got their name. So this is a very beautiful specimen, but I like to tell folks I don't have all of my animals because they're biological specimens. I have them because they're my personal pets, and I happen to love every single one of them, and I treat them as such. Now, this guy immediately went to my classroom. We named him Little Wheezy, but then I had a student who wanted to name him Harold, so I'm giving him both names. Harold is his middle name, so you can call him by either. And carpet pythons have this reputation for not being as friendly as some of the other snakes and not as handleable as, let's say, a ball python or a corn snake or a boa. But I think it all depends on their appropriate level of socialization. This guy has been in my classroom, and now he's at my house, but he was in my classroom all that time. I had students hold him quite frequently, uh, before school, during lunch, after school. And now that he's home, I try to hold him as well because I want him to remain accustomed to human contact. So he's pretty cool. He's a non-venomous constrictor. A lot when he gets older, he will look a little more like a ball python in terms of his size and his girth. But obviously, he's a different species. Ball pythons originating from sub-Saharan Africa before they were mass-produced in the pet trade. Um, captive bred, and there's a few differences. Ball pythons are ambush predators that don't venture out much. These guys, as you can see, he's venturing out quite a bit, and he just likes to keep moving around. He has what you call a prehensile tail, which they use for movement and climbing, and so I don't know if you can see it's sort of wrapped around my hand right now, but whenever he maneuvers his body to climb, he uses that as a tool to help him do so. And so that's kind of a cool hint, a cool fact about coastal carpet pythons. So this little guy, he's a male, so he'll probably get between I would say 6 and 8 feet. The coastals can get upwards of 9 feet. It depends on whether they're male or female. The females typically are larger. And this is just a really cool animal. I didn't have him last summer. Last summer I did a zoology class for the museum, and hopefully I'll be able to do something similar this summer. I don't know, with the pandemic, it's hard to tell. But he would be an excellent ambassador animal because he is super chill and he's used to human contact. He's used to being held, and he's just a lot of fun. He's never offered to bite me. I did mistakenly get bitten by him once, and it wasn't his fault because one of my sand boas wouldn't eat a pinky. So he's used to eating hoppers, which are larger than pinkies, and so I tried to feed him. The pinky, and he missed. It got my hand, but it didn't really hurt. It was just a puncture wound, and it wasn't his fault. I actually feed him and pick him right up afterwards. I feed him in a separate container, pick him right up, and put him back in his enclosure, which is kind of fun. And he doesn't offer to bite me. He's in a small cage right now. He was the smallest. He was the smallest snake that I had. I now have a Kenyan sand boa, which is kind of cool. And so I think what I'm going to do is get one of those front opening terrariums that have height, so something similar to a skyscraper, but I want to make sure that there's enough girth at the bottom, that there's enough width, because I know he's going to grow rather rapidly. When I first got him, he was, I think, 38 grams. And the last time I checked, he was, you know, almost double in mass, which is pretty cool. One of my students, the one who renamed him Harold, was afraid of snakes, never held a snake before in her life. She held Harold. Her friend sitting next to her was terrified and then started holding Harold. Well, the student was taking selfies with the snake, which I allow, and she said to me, well, how big is he going to get? And I showed a picture of an adult coastal carpet python, and by the time she's a senior, he should be at least 6 feet, I would think. And so she brought up the idea of taking her senior pictures with him, which is cool, and I said, absolutely. Now, if you're seeing like some weirdness there, another thing Harold loves to do is he loves to wrap around things. He loves to wrap around cell phones, and I'm taking the video with my cell phone. I've got pictures of him wrapped around my laptop, wrapped around document cameras. He loves to rest in the hoodies. If the students aren't wearing their hoodies, he likes to rest in the back of a hoodie. He loves shirt sleeves, so he's pretty cool. Well, anyway, this is just a little bit of information about my coastal carpet, which I did get from Scales and Tails. I didn't get all my animals from Scales and Tails, but I got a bunch of my animals from Scales and Tails. They're all very happy, very healthy, and they're just super chill. So this is my coastal carpet python. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. And maybe this summer I'll have him on display in the store for a bit so people can interact with him. That is all. Have a great day.